everybody? Hey, it's time for an all new show. I hope you like my hat. I finished it today.
Yay.
Country roads.
Take me home. Oh God, no, we are not doing that. We are not doing
Oh
that.
no, I think the better song would be God Bless Texas. I mean, we are in Texas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, just how like a Texas.
So we'd like everybody. We'd like you guys decided to join us tonight. Yes, I finished Overwatch props today. I'm very happy about it. This thing. Awesome.
What's Overwatch?
And the first lie of the show is told.
Is that a thing the kids like?
We are sorry about being down last week, guys. Thank Windows 10, but through grit and determination and know-how, I was able to fix our gear, and we're back up. Everything's not perfect, but it'll be there. But this ain't about me. My name is Jason the X, computer fixer, repair guy. I'm just pretty damn good. Over here, we've got Bryce.
Hi, Jason. Hi, universe.
I didn't hear a thank you for fixing everything.
Oh, thank you
Dude,
for
do your
all your
job.
diligence.
Thank you, Bryce. I
Yes, the
appreciate
due
it.
diligence you put in will be greatly appreciated by everyone except all of us.
Sad but true. Over there badgering me as well, we've got the lovely cat.
That's my job.
Nice t-shirt in this. I don't know what Overwatch is.
Yeah, it had all these cool figurines on them, and I'm like, I might have
It's
to.
a big pink one.
You know that, but now I'll be able to join you guys when y'all do your cosplays at the convention. So
Hey,
if
yeah.
I actually get everything finished up.
Man, we have to stop doing Overwatch
I
cosplays.
figured that's exactly what would happen.
What about my t-shirt?
I'm just switching to Suikoden. Well, that's classic right there. Does it glow in the dark?
Does it?
Does it glow in the dark?
Yes.
It's amazing.
We're all going to take Bryson to the bathroom after this.
Oh.
Okay, that didn't sound great. Anyway,
7 minutes of heaven.
over there, the person who's very excited that we are doing a horror-themed show.
Yes.
Look at the joy on that face. It is Cass, guys.
You forgot to mention, last week, because we couldn't do a show, we went on an adventure.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
decided to take a night off since we were going to be working anyway. So, to celebrate Cass's birthday, which was last Friday. Friday, right? We didn't do it on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went to, but first let me get the introduction done. We'll talk about the adventure because another person joined us on the adventure who was also happy about the events that happened on Thursday. Behind the board, working everything, we've got lovely Miss Cora.
Hi, my camera died, so
Aww.
I'm over here.
How
How y'all doing?
She is the voice of God today.
But also,
I feel like
I
Han
need to
Solo.
know right now,
Very tentative.
are you serious about joining Suikoden? Because I have a lot of good characters
Oh,
that
no,
would
I'm
be
just
perfect
screwing
for.
with
Oh, come on!
Oh, that's rude.
All you need is a shirt and pants, and you can be like 20 different characters.
Well, then it's complete. I'm wearing a shirt and pants. Well, I'm wearing a shirt.
Oh,
What?
weird.
Anyway.
Nobody wants to know.
That's why we got the curtain in.
How dare you lie to me?
So-
I'll get you later.
But in lieu of not having a show, we decided to go have some fun, and we went to Dark
Instead
Hour.
of the show, we decided to have fun.
I know, but
This sucks, and we
impossible to
hate
do
it.
this show.
He's keeping us captive here.
It's true. Anyway, we went to Dark Hour for their new werewolf show, and everything falls. Yay!
It's cursed.
Chaos. And I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of horror houses and stuff like that. 'Cause
Of
What?
what?
Horror houses,
Horror
houses.
haunted houses.
There we
whatever.
go. Better.
Whatever. I'm not a fan. I had a good time.
I think
It was
I
super
think it's
fun.
on your mind. Are you sure you're not a fan of horror houses?
Horror.
Horror houses.
Horror.
Scary houses, maybe? Jason?
Scary,
Haunted
haunted
houses,
even,
houses,
yeah.
whatever.
Give me just a
I'm
second.
not-
I can pull up the picture. Go ahead. Keep going.
Of the horror
It's
house?
hard
The
for me-
horror?
It's
Horror?
Hard, yeah, it's a double entendre.
Is it a
Of
Dolly
two
Parton
things.
picture?
That's
Aw.
rude.
I'm pretty sure they've made a
Play
movie
saxophone.
where they've had the women turn into zombies.
Probably.
But that's like I said,
It's a different subgenre.
I had a good time at Dark Hour, and I can tell everybody
So
else.
much fun.
It's like even
What
though I'm
is
not
Dark Hour
What's
exactly?
well, for that I will take it over to Cora, who can probably explain better than I can what Dark Hour
That's
is.
true of most things.
Cora. Oh wow! I fixed the computer. Kind of.
All right, so while I talk, I'm going to push our picture from the actual show. We had a little camera setup this year, so you could take a picture with one of our wolves.
Which was awesome. That was such a
Super
good
cool.
idea.
Yep.
So Dark Hour is the only year-round haunted house in North Texas. We do a show about once a month, and it's always a different theme. Of course, we do Halloween, of course. But in addition to that, we have one at Christmas. We have one at Valentine's Day. We have one for St. Patrick's Day, one in the spring, and two in the summer. And all different, all fun. It's just, I don't know. There's so much.
There really was. It was a good show. It was scary.
Yeah. We also do a secondary house called Carl's Playhouse. I refuse to go through there because there are fake animatronics, meaning they're... Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I agree. I completely agree. I've seen the people in the costumes backstage and I don't want to do it. No, thank you. We have people dressed up in costumes that make them look like animatronics. I'm good with not seeing that in person.
Nice.
Last time I checked, there was a clown in there. I'm also good without seeing that.
You don't want to see it
No.
before it kills you?
No. I don't want to see
But
it at
you've
all.
been a part of Dark Hour.
Yes,
Seriously.
I worked at Dark Hour for many, many years,
Get over
and
yourself.
clowns just scare me, okay?
Clowns are evil.
That's fair.
They shouldn't
And
be
Evil,
a thing.
alien entities.
And even aside from that one, all the rest of them that aren't aliens are still evil.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I do want to point out, as far as clowns go, in the main house, we don't use chainsaws because we are an indoor haunted house. That is a fire hazard waiting to happen. And we
They
don't
need some horror, all right.
and we don't have excuse you. And we don't have clowns in the main house because those two are considered cheap scares. They work in the sense for Carl's because of the theme they have going there, but in terms of like the main house, we try to keep it with like classic things that would scare you.
It was very much.
Therapy's not cheap after clowns scare the crap out of you.
Exactly.
It was very in genre because this was werewolves, and I was really impressed. Like I don't typically find werewolves scary. I'm more about like ghosts and stuff like that. But the werewolf, it was impressive. Because we're both filmmakers, we were like, oh, look at how they did that. There was the one, and they had the thing. That
They're
was so, and
literally
like
openly critiquing as they go through.
Not critiquing.
fangirling.
Impressed.
We were really
As
impressed.
filmmakers and
Critiquing's
cosplayers.
not always bad.
It is when we give it to you. I don't know.
Burn.
It's been a while since I've just given Jason a bunch of crap
Is
on
a
the
week
show.
just too much for you?
It
Yeah.
was 2 weeks we didn't do the show because somebody couldn't figure out their technology.
Ooh. But
You asked for that one.
if anyone watching the show wants to come see Dark Hour and come experience the werewolf show, I think this is one of the best shows we've done. It will be this Friday and Saturday as well. It starts at 8, goes until about 11. Tickets are between $28 and $23, depending if you have a coupon or not. You could get coupons at the 4th of July parade for Plano, Texas, but that happened already, so...
It's really cool. And
I'd
if you
have to-
like shows like, well, if you like Face Off, for instance,
Yeah.
and you're just really into costuming and monsters and how it's done, they let you get like up close. You can't stop and like, hey, how did they do that? And they're going to stay in character, but you can appreciate from afar some of the really cool stuff they have going on.
Well, if you're curious about how we do it, we do have some videos up on our YouTube channel that highlight it. We also have a VIP pass that you can get that gives you a kind of a mini tour of the haunt.
Cool. I want to go to there.
Yeah, we got to try not to be so broke.
We gotta go.
Like I said, despite, it's just people in costume, you get into it after a bit.
It was super fun.
There was one
Jason
part-
was terrified.
No.
You were walking all like,
You pushed
I'm
me in
good.
front of you.
I'm
That was
good.
awesome.
You
No,
pushed me
because-
in front of you several times.
Yeah, because I saw a guy, like, beyond, I was like, Cash, you go first.
And he did scare. There were some words. There were some not nice words that came out of my
You
mouth
were
very
bad as
loudly.
hell.
mostly she was just practicing her movie screams.
So
Regardless, guys, Dark Hour, from us, we went. It was a really fun event. I recommend you go, at least check it out. And check out one of their shows at least once.
And
So,
spoilers, smoke-filled bubbles.
smoke hill bubbles.
Take your young children.
as Cat tried. And then we came back here and, celebrated birthdays. Anyway, so
Cat reproduced smoke-filled bubbles and
They're-
was so proud of herself.
they sunk like freaking lead balloons. They're just like...
Anyways,
A lot
So-
like your jokes, but you still make those.
Anyway,
Oh,
and they God, what
What
is
a wow.
Hell?
I'm
Love
on
it.
fire!
hello.
Anyway,
Hello.
so
Do we maybe have news?
moving on, Get ready for this new intro as we do some super cool nerd news.
I'm winning tonight.
Actually, real quick, Jason. Now that we're live, that video that you showed me before, was that for Super Cool Nerd News?
Which video? The one that was already loaded in there.
Yeah, I used that for our intro. I thought you said it was our regular intro.
Run it again!
Right.
I worked hard on that. No, that's something else I'm working on. So run it again, because it's awesome. And everyone should appreciate this. I hope y'all enjoyed that. You're welcome.
I actually saw the word news this time, so.
Hey!
So, moving on. Apparently, and if you haven't seen Ready Player One, you may have heard, at some point when I watched it, a large, just huge, just scream out loud because in the movie they used a Gundam. Not just a Gundam, but my favorite Gundam, the RX-78. So I guess the people over at Legendary got word of, hey, that guy might actually buy something like this, and they are finally going to make a live-action Gundam movie. We don't know which one it's going to be. I'm telling you, it needs to be the RX-78, my favorite Gundam, the original. It is classic. You heard, that was the one I was yelling about when I was watching Ready Player One. Y'all need to make this happen. And we have heard for years that they were going to do this. But finally, Legendary, at Anime Expo this weekend, which is going on where we should be, but we're not there. But they finally said, we will be proceeding with this. We don't have much for crew announced yet, but they are, and they've got experience with it, with large monster movies. They've done Godzilla, King Kong. I mean, if they were to happen to do a King Kong versus an RX-78 Gundam, I wouldn't be objectionable to that. But that is your news. I don't care about y'all. I'm getting a live-action Gundam movie. I don't know which one it will be, but much like Pretty Woman, I won't kick them out of bed for eating crackers. So, guys, that's all I got to say about that.
For eating crackers?
For eating crackers. You never heard this?
Yeah, when he goes to the whore houses.
Horror houses. Don't get it wrong. Hey,
Horror.
Have they cast Shia LaBeouf in this yet?
If it doesn't have Shia, I
Damn.
don't see it.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, well, there's the thing that will make me not watch this movie.
Would it?
Shia LaBeouf. LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
Whatever.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I won't do it. Won't do it. So anyway, next up, Cass, what have you got for the news this week?
So, the BBC is going to court.
Yay.
Last week, Tappa Talk, which is a website of some kind, probably. No, it's kind of a nerd news website, and they showed leaked footage from the new Doctor Who series, Series 11, with the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. And BBC, they don't like that. But it happens a lot. Leaks happen a lot. But they said this time they're taking it extremely, quote, extremely seriously. And they're actually going to court over it. And I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I think it's a good idea. They want to deter future. Obviously now Kat's kind of out of the bag, but
I am. Not in the bag.
But in the future, I mean, you don't want people leaking. You don't want people showing your stuff before it's ready. And this was an unfinished, what is it called? Like, unfinished scene. It wasn't properly edited. And so I can definitely understand the want to not have that go out. It's, we saw, I think, the Constantine pilot before it was ready, and it was just green screens in the background. And you don't want to see that. But it has actually brought more people to Doctor Who, because we didn't see that much of Jodie Whittaker post Peter Capaldi in the Christmas special. And so I'm getting really excited. We don't have an air date, obviously, because it's the BBC and they don't like air dates. They don't like to tell us anything, and then they just shove it out in front of you, and they're like, here, have it. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. It's great, but
What is that?
never heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should be fun if we ever actually get to see it, which would be great. BBC, can we see your show, please?
I'm ready for just more crying fanboys over Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Female Doctor.
Give me your tears. Anyway.
So salty.
You went to a creepy place with that.
Well,
I was
like
hoping
her.
Marina Sirtis was going to be the new Doctor Who.
I was hoping
She
she
was
was campaigning.
campaigning for it.
Isn't she No. She British?
Yes.
I mean, if you really want
Oh,
to
she had
make an
fake
impact,
If she needs to be, she can be.
Well, no, but the Doctor does have to be British.
No, she's from
Okay.
England.
I was
Or
like,
what?
The
I just-
Doctor, I don't know.
It's always
That's the
been
one
British.
tradition that I like to have because it is a very British show.
Hmm.
That I think the Doctor should be British. Aside from that, I don't really care.
So
should
you're
be.
including Scottish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see it be an Aussie with like a crazy, weird, annoying accent.
Just shoving Vegemite.
Yeah, shoving Vegemite at people.
So
Like
aside from
Crocodile
taking-
Dundee.
And being like, this is not any bigger than the spiders where I came from at all the monsters, no
This
matter
is-
how terrifying.
The size of a baby, eh?
So aside from taking stabs at me, what have you got for news this week? Or is it just
Okay.
another stab at me?
It could be.
Might as well be.
Breaking news: Jason sucks. That's it.
It's not
I
breaking.
mean, you don't suck, you just don't know things.
I get like Jason your face every time they dig
Okay,
at you.
so Fortnite. Fortnite had an event on Saturday where they decided to launch a rocket to crack the sky, like so you could play Crack the Sky. Anyway, during this event, someone someone got the record for most simultaneous kills in a Fortnite thing because there were huge collaborations around this event. And people decided to like build giant platforms like you can do in the game to get close, and were dancing on one of their platforms, like 48 players at a time, dancing on the platform to watch a rocket crack the sky, right? All of a sudden, the platform disappeared because a guy chopped through it and 48 players at once fell to their death right as the rocket was going off.
What?
This is a massive troll, and it's so funny because, granted, it makes me
That's
mad
just beautiful.
because it's poor sportsmanship, but at the same time, he
You-
didn't hack anything. He didn't break any of the in-game rules.
There's just a part of you have to respect that he was able
His
to
name
kill
is
that many people at one time.
Elemental Ray, and
Go on
his
his Twitter.
response was apparently even Jesus had haters. So like this is not so much news as it was just the funniest thing
The
that's happened in
best
video
thing.
game history
The best
recently.
thing. It's the funniest douchebag move I've ever heard in
Yeah,
my
it
life.
is totally a douche move, but you gotta respect it in a way.
You have to respect
You have
it. And like, if they didn't want that to happen, then Fortnite should have disabled PvP for the event.
Now, did he know that was gonna happen, or was it just?
No,
I
he
wonder.
did it on
Oh,
purpose.
yeah.
Okay.
It
No,
was
no.
a
I mean,
massive-
he wanted to kill, but did he realize how many people he was gonna get in one fell swoop?
I think he knew there was a lot.
There's just bodies littered around. Boy, I got a lot of teabagging to do. This is gonna take.
There's a video on like YouTube or something. If you look up Fortnite Crack the Sky event or something, or look up Fortnite. If you look up Fortnite kill record, I'm sure it would pop right up, and you can watch one of the players' perspectives. So anyway, that happened, and now Elemental Ray has the record for most kills in a Fortnite game.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Is that going to go down as one of the greatest moments in video game history?
I don't
For
know.
this one, at least.
For Fortnite.
The thing with Fortnite is that they've done so many things right, and one of them is like it's kind of temporary by nature. You build all these temporary structures. They release new
Very nihilist.
skins and stuff, and then yeah, exactly. Like you have right now is all you have. So I don't know how long people will talk about this.
I can find no way to kill that many people at one time in Fortnite. You just
It's not
can't.
going to happen again.
No, you can't.
Circumstances had to be perfect. So until they do another like
Until you
event
Get a nuke.
like that, and the event was a big deal. They hyped it up for days before, and they're unlikely to do something that epic. Plus, next time probably a lot of people would try and do it, so there wouldn't be as many kills because people are trying to do it to each other. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool. Well,
Was there a do not cross line that he also
I mean-
cut down? You know, some sort of a tape.
Like
No
police
girls
tape.
allowed.
Yeah, like police tape,
kinda.
yeah.
I think really
Pass.
the fault's in the construction. Really, that was not a safe structure
Oh,
for them to be.
It's such an amazing moment because they were all like emoting on the platforms. They had like 48 players dancing in the sky, and then just out of nowhere, just plummeting to the
All
depths.
to their death.
I feel like it's an allegory for life somehow, but I'm not really sure how.
Or like white people that riot after their team wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
That's my
Alright.
story.
Cool. Okay. Well, that is nerd news for now. Oh,
Dude,
I'm sorry.
Every time.
Every time.
Every week.
I
Every
have
week
one
with
to
this
tell
nonsense.
as well.
At one point, it was intentional. You had one. Oh no, you didn't.
I
Yeah.
haven't said anything
This
yet
time
on
you
that news.
skipped over
Dude.
Two of us.
You know what, Cora? You go.
you
'Cause he's
Party
complete.
foul.
You
Now
told
you're
your
ta-
story.
Now you're just going to talk over Cora. Cora, go ahead. What's your news story?
All right, so I don't know how many people remember the anime Elven Lied. It came out in about 2005-ish. Well, at Anime Expo as well, they announced that Dark Horse is going to finally be getting the rights to the manga, which we've never had the rights as no American distributors had the rights, although also not many American distributors wanted the rights because it is a very screwed up manga. The anime only touched the surface of it, and the anime was still very disturbing. But Dark Horse has the rights to it. They're going to be releasing it in about three to four omnibuses, which if you do not know what that is, that's when they combine about 3 or 4 volumes of manga into one just big volume so that they can sell it for a little bit cheaper and also sell it in less quantities so they have a better chance of actually selling the entire series.
It's kind of a niche series, dude.
Yeah, it's a very niche series, but if you are into horror and you're into, I guess gore, we'll go that route, I guess. There's not much actual gore. But
It is the worst anime, to just mess you up.
It is.
In
And
5 minutes, you're like, oh, this is... No, it's not. No, it's not.
Wait, what is it called?
it's called Elven Lied. Some people have called it Elven Lied, but I think the proper pronunciation is Lied.
I'm that person that pronounced it wrong.
It
Surprise.
looks like if anyone's seen the human-shaped holes.
Yes, from
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, though, right?
Yes.
And I've only ever seen it just on the internet, just randomly. But it's a human-shaped holes, and it's one of the darkest, scariest comics I've ever seen in my life.
and that's one of his tamest ones.
That's from this.
No.
No, that's different.
No, that is
It's
that is from a different creator.
Okay,
I can't remember his name at the moment, but the
Okay.
collection is called Uzumaki.
but it seems similar
But-
in
yeah.
style. Okay.
Yeah, it's very similar in style. If his stuff is more psychological and is built completely around this thing is disturbing, have fun looking at it.
Okay.
And with Elven Lied, it's more of a have fun having your brain just exploded, I guess.
Okay. I do.
The-
Exploding head syndrome.
I will say the anime, if you all do check it out, there are some triggers in the anime. I can't remember all of them. It's been a while since I watched it.
It's just...
It's very disturbing, but the ending from the anime is not where the story ends.
Okay.
The story continues on after that. It was only 12 episodes. 13, 12 episodes, something like that. So they didn't get the whole story, so they did not actually finish it. So there's a lot more. Have fun watching that, y'all, because that's a trip.
Because there's just a point, seriously, you're like, ah.
Like
And
what?
You're just, oh, this is... No. Like, I had to just hit pause just for a second, just like, where did this go wrong? Anyway,
It went
Cats
wrong.
Watching Annihilation.
It went wrong because I think
Oh no.
There's a lot of-
no.
No, there's no- it's
we
not
don't
the same.
talk about that,
anyways, that's all the news we got, so we're going to move...
It was terrifying.
dude.
This is all the time we have for the news.
And that's in the show,
let's-
everybody.
I'll be delivering my news to everyone door to door later tonight.
Super creepy.
So this is coming to your
So
house.
stay up late and keep the porch light on.
No, go for it. What have you got?
Oh, okay. So if you like sci-fi and horror combined,
And
and
if
I
you
do.
don't, stop watching the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Tonight.
You're gonna be very interested to see what's coming to theaters and streaming services July 10th. I'm super excited about it, and I've been trying to hold in my excitement for 3+ years with this film. I read about this film on Kickstarter.com a long time ago, and I contributed $100 of my hard-earned money
Producer.
to help get this thing going. So I'd like to think that I fed Doug Jones and Marina Sirtis on this film one day. Just one day.
I got him a sandwich.
That's all I did. Yeah, I got him an apple or two.
Doug Jones always looks like he needs a good meal.
Yeah. So I'm happy to have fed Doug Jones. So aside from Doug and Marina, this film also has Armin Shimmerman. I should probably tell you the name of the film. It's called Fifth Passenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might help. I'm going door to door. I'll remind you later.
Obviously.
So Armin Shimmerman, if you are a Star Trek fan, you're going to recognize some of these names from Deep Space Nine. Tim Russ, who plays Tuvok on Voyager, he's in the film as well. Hannah Hate, who played the daughter of Chief O'Brien. She was Molly O'Brien on Deep Space Nine and The Next Generation. Yep, she's all grown up now, so you're going to get to see her as a grown-up girl actress, which is great. So you've got a plethora of talent, and they've already been showing the film in Los Angeles and a few other select locations, and I can't wait to see it myself. So if you want to see the movie with me, feel free to invite me when I come to your door tonight.
Do we have a date?
We do. All of us. We should go. Yes.
Oh my God, she's a cutie.
And we're going to leave Jason behind because he didn't even want to hear my news story.
Exactly.
So everybody's invited by Jason.
How dare you, Jason?
Jason
Typical.
still has to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
He just can't come.
I'll let you buy me some popcorn, though.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's lovely.
What a
And
joy
you go
to do.
watch whatever other movie you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch something else.
And one more thing I just want to add, I'm sorry about the Fifth Passenger film, is that it's... I'm not going to give anything away about the plot because I think you should see it. There is a trailer out there you can watch, but what's interesting is the title is inspired by the foreign movie title of Ridley Scott's and Dan O'Bannon's Alien, which was at one time being called Eighth Passenger, and that's what it was called in some foreign countries. So that's the original title back in 1979 for that film. So that's the reason why they're calling this movie Fifth Passenger. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of what this film might be.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep.
Have I missed anybody now?
Can't wait.
I actually
you
see
missed
the teaser trailer.
you missed the Invisible Man behind you.
Aww.
So,
It's a
last
great
week,
segue.
So last week we were sent over a game, a new one for the Nintendo Switch, Mega Man X. Anybody ever play Mega Man X?
Mega Man.
Mega Man X.
Hmm.
Is
Feel
that,
like
is that
he's
an- it-
blue
wait,
and
wait,
he
is
looks
that
up to
like
You
a
shut up, I
guy.
know you have.
Is
that
that
maybe-
the one that goes against the guy like the Nega
Okay,
Man?
if you
Is
like
that maybe
that
like
type
one of the
of
best games
platform,
that's ever come out?
you definitely
Has
want
to
to try
kill the Hamburglar or something.
20XTX is how it is actually pronounced. It looks like 20XX, but it's 20XTX. It is an action platformer. What's interesting about it, yes, it does play, and you immediately look at it and go, oh, this is Mega Man X. You got dash, and you got charge shots, and all this stuff. You can play also co-op on this game with 2 players. The lead character is...
Zero.
No.
Tails.
The lead character is called Nina. She's basically the armor girl with the blaster. Or you can play as Ace, who's basically X. So, here's the deal. The levels randomize and change every time you go through them.
Yes.
You have one shot to run through a certain amount of levels. You can get permanent power-ups as well by gaining currency as you do the levels. And see, I jumped right into the game and did not realize this. So it was surprising. Like, wait a minute. Because, you die on Mega Man, you go back. Also, the game is a little bit more forgiving. If you fall, you don't die immediately. You go back. But it does cost you some energy.
Okay.
You can actually use the currency that you gain. You basically have to get the currency to keep surviving to make it through the next level of the game. Now, if you
Like
die,
Sonic.
you can try that run again, but everything is going to be random again. And after I realized that, I was like, this is a cool game now.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to try the co-op stuff. Maybe one of you guys can join me for that. Maybe we can do a little
On
bit
the
of streaming.
Switch?
We can play it here. Well, I'm going to have a review up for it Monday. It is on the Nintendo Switch and the Steam store right now. It's fairly cheap.
Oh,
Microsoft Windows and you can actually get it for PlayStation 4 as well. The official release it released August 16, 2017, but they've made a couple of improvements for the Switch. I gotta say, I've had a lot of fun with the game, especially with the randomized levels. I think everybody can have a lot of fun. It's got a lot of replayability with that aspect of it. So,
Yeah.
right now, off the bat, on a scale of 10, I actually want to give this game a 7.
nice.
Because it's fun. I keep going back, and it's different and new. They also have daily and weekly challenges on there that you can gain more currency for.
Oh, I love that.
So there's just a lot going on with it.
What is it called? One more time.
It's called 20XTX, but it's spelled out just 20XX. So 20XTX. It is made by Battery Staple Games. This is one of their first outings, by the way. And I think they really knocked it out of the park. I know people will look at it immediately and just dismiss it because, it's just Mega Man X. Don't do that.
Who doesn't want to play a different version of Mega Man X?
It's the perfect thing. Everyone,
Exactly.
I love side-scrolling games as well.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you got a couple bucks to spend, try it out. One of my friends was saying the screens don't look as good when you're trying to choose the game on the Switch, but the trailer that they showed on YouTube is very good. So yeah, my recommendation 20XTX. Review will be up Monday. Definitely a recommended game.
Cool.
Nice.
Does Nina come with 99 Luft balloons? Or is that something you have to purchase with your currency?
I believe you can purchase currency. You have to get further in the level. You just have to keep.
I like the other version.
No!
I like the punk version. It's super good.
We are
Yeah, we're
moving on into.
I don't speak German. Sorry, folks.
So, last Thursday was the anniversary of The Thing, which also surprisingly, Blade Runner came out on the same day, which I just found
That's
really
ridiculous.
weird. I never knew that. Granted, it was 1982, so I
So
didn't
you were
know that.
only 25.
That's right.
Darn.
I've lived forever. Anyway, but The Thing kind of sparked conversation because it's one of my favorite horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrifying as a kid. John Carpenter scared the crap out of me. And of course, we all like horror. Some of us more than others.
Yeah.
At the end of the table over there.
Good.
So I thought we could bring up some of our favorite horror movies.
Favorite
And
what?
Our horror movies. I said-
Pretty Woman.
Horror.
Oh, horror.
Horror.
Best little whorehouse in Texas.
And since she's chomping
Frankenhooker.
at the bit over there, Cass, I want to hear your favorite creator and your favorite work that
Not
they've done.
favorite.
Okay,
It's my favorite creator.
okay then.
The
That's
first one
fine.
I'm going to talk about is not my favorite work that they've done. Okay. James Wan. Let me talk to you. Sit down. Let me talk to you about James Wan. He is probably most famous for the movie Saw, which came out in 2004. It sparked many, many sequels, which have kind of gone down in quality, but the original Saw movie
They
was
made it in a day for $1.
yeah. Basically, it was him and Lee. I think Wanell is how you pronounce his last name. They went to school together, and they decided to make a movie. So they made a short film. It's called Saw. They made it in one room, which is one of the things they wanted to do for like $8. They got basically clearance to make a full-length version of it.
They got some money. Not a lot
They got
of
some money. They got a little over $1 million, which for a horror movie, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. And it's one of the most interesting stories of a movie made ever. The whole thing was shot in 18 days. Basically, it was the writer, Lee, and Carrie All was in a room chilling. That part, it was entirely in a bathroom, and it was shot entirely chronologically because they wanted the actors to really understand the desperation, and so they shot that entirely chronologically and with absolutely no rehearsal. So everything that you see, there wasn't any rehearsal for that. They just did it.
And since one of them wasn't like an actor who but does really well,
He does really,
the
really, really well.
chronological thing
Yeah.
probably helped him a lot, whereas Carrie Ellis would have been like, whatever,
Mhm.
picking it from where.
yeah, Saw is this amazing thing, and it kind of horror was kind of coming back into style. In the 90s, there was a lot of like kind of horror. You had Scream, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, you had some that were kind of almost in genre parodies of horror, which is fair. That's where horror was at the time. And between The Ring and Saw, it kind of brought that actually very, very scary thing into the forefront again. And then after that, he went on to do the Conjuring movies, which I think define modern horror in a lot of ways. They're absolutely terrifying. They're very much what other filmmakers look to, and they've also spawned several sequels, spin-offs, all that kind of stuff. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing creator, and I love him very much. And that's my little piece on James Wan, because he's amazing. And quick shout out to Andre Muschietti, who did it, which is also amazing.
I just love her joy on that whole song.
Yeah, that was
horror.
great.
I love horror so much.
Saw was a great movie. It's very,
Oh yeah.
Original
very,
in a lot
yes,
of ways.
very original.
They didn't get
And-
some of the shots they wanted. They had to use like security footage.
Yeah.
And it's a small cast too. And I like small cast movies.
Also, shout out to Tobin Bell, who made, he was the voice of Jigsaw, and he
I want to play a
made
game.
the voice that people my age,
Creeped out
that's
an
our voice,
entire
that's our
generation.
scary voice.
That's our Vincent Price.
That's our Vincent Price, is that, oh, I'd like to play a game, and it's terrifying.
I
He's
want to
so
try
good.
that again.
I can't, I don't have the vocal.
Would you like to play a game?
That's it, that's
also
all
it's
I
heavily
got.
digitized. They do
Yes,
other
but
things.
it's that
It's
absolutely...
not that heavily digitized. They put a reverb on it, but like the growl is his.
Oh my God, really?
Have you
He
heard
did a
him
lot
talk?
of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, I've heard him talk in interviews. And
He
it's-
did
No,
a
like-
lot.
He can do that.
They put a reverb
Wow.
on it, and they did like I don't know. They did a couple of other things with compression.
Who wants to be this man's
but-
children?
Dude.
I mean,
he's
he
so
probably
cool.
is too old to have kids.
He's
Probably
in
is.
his 70s,
I mean-
I think.
Yeah, so unless he's what? Who was the one? Picasso?
Yeah.
Unless he's Picasso, no look.
His castmates adore him. Talking about Tobin.
Yeah.
Really?
When I saw
His sweetheart.
when I saw the reunion of some of the cast from the Saw film at Texas Frightmare Weekend, Shawnee is her last name Smith?
She played Amanda. Yeah, Smith.
Yeah, so she was gushing over Tobin, who was sitting directly next to her on the panel, and she wrote. I mean, I'm sorry, Tobin wrote her a letter that she still treasures to this day, and
Oh, that's creepy.
they consistently referred back to Tobin during the panel, and talking about how sweet a guy he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
What you have to be a sweetheart if you're gonna play the monster in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I
Such
feel like
Especially
Alexander
too-
Skarsgård knows that really well.
Or Bill.
Bill
Skarsgård. Because the
from
kids
It.
from It love Bill Skarsgård. But
That's just twisted.
No,
he's
they were
such
like
a sweetheart.
sheltered from him. They wouldn't let them interact until some of the bigger scenes. So he had a lot of ground to make up to be like.
Wow.
Because they were all best friends before he was even introduced to them.
And they're like, here's this guy, and not at all separately, here's his demon clown character.
Yeah. The kids from It are ridiculous. They're amazing. I
Cora,
could talk about.
I want some scary stuff from you, but you're already disturbing as it is. And some of the things that you say
Disembodied
and like,
voice.
Kids, do you know what bite the hand that feeds you means?
Hey, now
Here's
I am-
Jason making fun of our producer.
Yeah.
Yes, how dare you?
It's rude.
All right, so I decided to go with a traditional horror route, and one of my favorites is Clive Barker.
yes.
He has a really interesting interpretation of horror. A lot of it is kind of visual, but he's also a writer, which I thought was really interesting. He's an artist and a writer, so he gets the visuals perfect and then he writes about them. And actually, one of my favorite works for him isn't a movie. I actually got introduced to him through one of his novels, The Thief of Always, which he did the artwork for this cover as well. I did not see that cover when I got this book. It's a really interesting book. It was intended for children, but it's also for adults as well. Just as like a quick little thing, you have this place called Mr. Hood's Holiday House. and it houses children and, grants wishes, but you have to pay a price for it. And there's one kid that decides that he's going to stop it. And it is really interesting, and you don't really expect a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. It's interesting, to say the least, and it's kind of scary. Especially when you are not sure what's going to happen next. No.
Reading horror, like writing like books of horror, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, because
It's got to be on a whole other level.
your descriptions have to be good. Because, to describe a house, there are a million ways you can describe it, and it's not going to be that scary. But depending on what words you use will convey something else.
Yeah.
Like, this house is falling apart, or this house is decaying. Those two sentences already convey completely different settings.
If you're Stephen King, you use all of the words.
All of the words
available.
Oh my! Have you ever read a Stephen King book?
Oh yeah, I've read all of them.
They're super good. They're so long.
They're really good.
Yeah.
But the world building is.
Which is why I was so surprised that they could do it justice. Because it's so long. So many.
Well, on Clive, definitely
We know
my
what they say
favorite
about
work is
pictures.
Hellraiser, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Clive Barker did Hellraiser.
Yes.
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 Nice.
Yes.
New horror.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For me, I've really enjoyed Clive's work, and for me, when I see one of his films, like Candyman or a Hellraiser film, he is, to me, is much like David Cronenberg. When I watch one of his movies, that is a very uncomfortable, unsettling viewing experience for me. I've always enjoyed both of those directors, but Clive is very good at the eerie and the creepy and
Making you
factor.
feel uncomfortable.
Yes. So I truly appreciate what he's done for cinema.
Cat?
I forgot he did Candyman. Now I'm all like...
Oh, yeah. Ew,
We're
weird.
going back and forth between old and new horror.
I know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I chose David F. Sandberg. He did Lights Out and Annabelle 2.
No.
Annabelle 2.
Just no.
His
Annabelle creation.
shorts are amazing. He made a bunch of short horror films for a very small budget. Most of them starring his wife, who's actually really good, and a bunch of homemade effects. The one that I chose is called Closet Space, and it's mostly horror and a little bit funny.
But like,
That's one
But
of the short
also,
ones?
like, creepy.
Yeah.
It's one of the shorts that he does. It's like 4 minutes. He made a terrifying one that's less than 2 minutes long,
yeah.
and it's terrifying.
I want to see this guy's work.
His original Lights Out
His original
is
Lights
terrifying.
His original Lights Out is boring. Oh my god!
Wait, is that the one with the hallway? Like, it's just that one
That's
shot?
the one I'm talking
Oh,
about.
no, screw
That's
that
the,
thing.
It's called, like,
Don't Go Faster.
Don't
Wait,
Go
something.
Faster.
David Sandberg?
David F. Sandberg.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a David Sandberg and he did Kung Fury.
No, David F. Sandberg. He also has a
Gotcha.
channel on YouTube, I think, called Pony Smasher Films. He goes into a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of how it's done. So if you like making horror type projects, he
Horror.
really kind of
Wow.
breaks it down.
It's a lot of shorts. I'm about to check these out.
Dude, they're all
he did,
scary.
and they're really good.
The only one I've seen is Lights Out.
The short or
The short.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
that
one
short,
didn't scare me at
no.
all till the thing at the end.
Yeah.
And the thing at the
I was
end
like, no,
still
no.
haunts my nightmares.
And from that, he got the budget to make the full-length movie Lights
Nice.
Out, which is not even closely related to anything from the short.
Yeah.
But it was pretty
It
good.
was pretty good.
Yeah, I really went into that one like, holy crap, more of this.
But
Aw.
he's one of my inspirations, maybe because he's also like your how-to guy. And he's self-taught, and now he's making bigger, like decent budget movies. He's just got a really good sense for it and goes a lot into the difference between like a short film and how to creep out people and shorts and how to, dig into the background and stuff. I have a lot of respect for him.
He's also doing Shazam.
Yeah.
That seems to be a thing because James Wan is doing Aquaman, and so they're like horror directors are kind of creeping their way into superhero movies, but like the way you tell a story in horror is so important. that I think it's going to translate really, really well into superhero movies.
Well, horror has a lot of. First of all, horror films teach you how to tell stories quicker in a lot of ways. The average length for a full-length movie is something like 97 minutes or something. So they're shorter, and you have to nail down any issues you had with pacing in a story to tell a good horror story. So, and plus it's a source for new talent. You know, they kind of have a gradual working up the ranks thing. So he was mine, but also shout out to James DeMonico, who did the Purge movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see a turnaround on an investment, go look at his budget versus his returns for the Purge movies, and then go watch the Purge movies, because there's an issue with the willing suspension of disbelief to even get to the Purge.
We're gonna have a whole thing.
What he does with that is just really fascinating, and I will fight you on the Purge.
Whatever. People want to kill. Nobody wants to get rich and steal money. Anyway, my favorite, of course, you know, the man, John Carpenter, because a long time ago, Jason found a VHS tape that said "The Thing" on it, and I went, "Hey, I love the Fantastic Four," because I'm a small child, and I popped this VHS tape.
The Thing?
Oh, we're talking like I was like 6, maybe.
Oh my
goodness. I was like 6 or 7. And I love Fantastic Four comics, and I was like, The Thing, and I popped this movie in, and at 7 years old, I watched The Thing from John Carpenter, and I was alone in the house, by the way.
And it wasn't Benjamin Grimm.
And the second I saw somebody's arms bitten off, I was just horrified, and watched this movie, and was scared to death, and could not go to sleep. But the next day, I went back and watched the movie again. Because I was a dumb kid and realized this movie is not about the Fantastic Four. But Carpenter's made just a bunch of films. I've enjoyed, you know, of course, you got all the Escape series. I still want one more of those movies, even though I shouldn't, because Kurt's a bit getting on in his age. But, you know.
I mean, if Harrison Ford can run around the set.
The Thing is always just going to hold a special place in my heart, because there's no way I should have watched that movie. It was my first introduction to that franchise, and I remember it to this day.
What was my first?
Isn't John Carpenter the guy that scores a lot of his own movies?
He does.
Oh, yes.
He also scored part of Stranger Things.
Oh, really?
Season 2. Oh. It's Eleven's story. Eleven's story, where she kind of goes off and hangs out with her buddies. He scored that.
I did not know that.
That's why the music was the best during
That's
that
why,
part.
The scene with her in the train, the music is so important during that part, and it's absolutely nailed.
I did not know that. The man's, you know.
Got nailed at a horror house.
Carpenter, I'm glad he's still going strong.
Yeah. Carpenter not only directs, he acts. He's been in a couple of things, including his own, Body Bags. He's done an enormous amount of films that I think will forever be treasured. If you, even from the beginning, if you look at what he did in the USC film department, he started out with a parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's called Dark Star. It's right here. And
what a nerd!
You have Dark Star?
I do. And you know, if you have not seen all of or most of John Carpenter's films, you're doing yourself a disservice, because the guy is a great storyteller. Well,
I've watched my first John Carpenter movie last Wednesday.
Which one was it?
The Thing.
Oh, okay.
What did you think?
I thought it was good.
Have you not seen Big Trouble in Little China?
No.
Fantastic movie.
Oh,
That was a John Carpenter
Christine.
movie?
Yes, and Christine.
No,
Yes, and yes, so I guess.
The Thing. No, I liked it. I thought the scariest one was the guy with the arms and the noise outside. That was scary.
Yeah.
For the most part, the rest of it's old. I know the tricks, but it was a very interesting story, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the show. the X-Files did what they called an homage, but was basically just a ripoff of the thing in their first season. It was a little bit different in that they infected the host instead of recreating the host, but it was still, I mean, that quickly it became a classic enough to where they basically ripped it off.
I liked the effects a lot. There's a couple of things.
Yeah, this was 1982.
Yeah, that I'm like, how did they do that? Where most of the time I don't wonder, like I know instantly. And there were a couple of like cool little tricks, or else just things that you don't see that early typically, and I can't think of examples in the moment.
Well, Rob Bottin did the effects for that, and he's done effects for a lot of horror films, and that's some of the best stuff.
He basically almost died on that set too. Like, he was exhausted.
Yeah.
When it was hard work to do films.
Yeah.
You didn't have CGI.
Yeah, you had to spin the thing.
All right. Bryce, finish us off, man. What have you got?
Well, so Carpenter worked with Dan O'Bannon at USC on Dark Star, and Dan O'Bannon has a permanent place in my heart for establishing two great franchises in film science fiction horror history. One of them being Alien, which was originally titled Star Beast. And
I'm glad they went with Alien.
Right, and so Dan started out as an actor and a special effects guy on Dark Star because they couldn't depend on people to show up to play the actors. So
been there.
He has single-handedly written a ton of scripts that you may not be aware of, but he didn't have a prolific directing career. Dan, he directed the fantastic Return of the Living Dead, which is what I'm wearing tonight.
It glows in the dark.
I don't know if you can see Trash, the pin I'm wearing, but great characters that he invented, that he wrote. For me, his movies are gripping, scary, sexy, gory. They're just well written and new concepts. If you're talking about being inventive, I equate Dan O'Bannon with being inventive. He was, along with John Carpenter, they're two guys who really got it right. And so Dan O'Bannon wrote genre classics, Total Recall,
Ooh.
Alien, Life Force, which is a great vampire movie from outer space. It's if you want to seek out classic Hollywood horror, you need to go no further than Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon. And I would just say that to add to Dan's legacy, he was not only an actor and a writer and a director, but he was a special effects man. He worked for George Lucas briefly on the initial Star Wars film. He helped with faked computer screens, the targeting screens. He was a heck of an artist. He could draw, he could write, he could do everything. And you can also credit Dan O'Bannon with being the first to bring fast-moving zombies to screen. You've seen it in 28 Days and 28 Days Later. You're shaking your head now?
I don't like fast zombies.
I don't either.
Well, I do. And without Return of the Living Dead, you probably wouldn't have Shaun of the Dead, because this is the first time you saw a horror comedy that got the tone just right between something that will scare you and something that will make you laugh, because it was so well written. I can't recommend Return of the Living Dead enough. And I would say that between the Alien franchise and Return of the Living Dead franchise, I think that's a huge legacy that he'll forever be remembered for. And I think long after I'm gone from this planet and living on some other planet, I think people remaining here will still be watching those films.
I mean, horror comedy is an amazing genre, so thank you, Dan O'Bannon.
You know what I liked about this show is, like, we're all going to go watch something afterwards that we
I'm
heard
gonna watch Return
from somebody else on this show.
Yeah.
And I hope that you guys do too. Anyway.
There are two things I wanted to mention. Speaking of amazing horror, we would be remiss if we didn't mention The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is one of my favorites. Speaking of horror comedy, it is kind of scary. It is mostly just absolutely hilarious in how bad it is.
Supposed to be.
It wasn't supposed to be, but Ash vs. Evil Dead was spawned from The Evil Dead. It was a TV show that came out recently. It is scary, and it is also absolutely hilarious.
I actually have a replica of the little Ash puppet.
From season
yes,
2.
I've seen, yes.
Second, this kind of
Should have brought
and
him.
yeah, we should have.
Why did you?
This is kind of an odd thing, but I have anxiety. I was diagnosed a couple of years ago. If you have anxiety and you're looking for a thing to kind of get your anxiety out of you and let it go somewhere, horror movies can work as just somewhere for your anxiety to go. You're really stressed out for an hour and a half, and then poof.
Test this concept carefully,
Very carefully.
and with support, because it can go the other way. But she and I both have found it a weird release for anxiety. It builds up your cortisol, I think, and then releases it in a healthy way.
Oh, well, I have to terrify Coral more often. Anyway.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that is our show. Thank you all out there for joining us. Of course, we want you to like this video and subscribe. You can follow us over on Facebook.com/SCNS Live, Twitter.com/SCNS Live, SCNS Live, and of course on our Instagram page at SCNS Live. But for the personal page, you can follow me at JasonTheX on Twitter, Political on Twitter, Toys on Instagram at JasonTheX. Bryce, where can they follow you?
Do you ever fantasize about being killed?
No.
Okay, well then let's talk about my social media then. It's Bryce Culver on Instagram and
First
Facebook.
segue.
Okay.
I don't know where to go from there. Cat, where can I find you?
Jason's got to fantasize about being killed
That's
now.
a quote from Return of the Living
I
Dead.
always fantasize about that.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter at depends, but Better Cat Comics on Twitter for everything.
Dude.
What in the...
Just had to be the cinema.
I mean-
I'll just find.
Can you just leave Resurrection Cemetery alone?
No.
Let her say her
You
thing.
can resurrect, right? What? No harm done.
But
You can find me on Instagram at Better Cat, where I just posted less than an hour and a half ago. I know, right? And that's it. Or you can find me at Twitch Bad Moon on Twitter, where I scream about Overwatch League stuff.
I really like the way you say
Constantly.
Twioch.
Twitch. Oh yeah, TWIOCH.
You got that? You can find me both on Twitter and Instagram at Cass_Bradley. That is KAS_Bradley. I post a lot more on Twitter than I do on Instagram. Oh, also you can find me on Twitter at Super Quick Movie for super quick movie reviews, which I forgot to post about the thing, but I will.
Did you start adding the pictures? Did you
what
add the
was
poster?
on- I
I'm
was
going to.
supposed to, I
The
think I
thing,
forgot
and
one.
then we watched, I don't know.
Oh, I was supposed to do the other one with
There's a scary movie that we watched.
Winchester.
Winchester.
Major.
Came out early this year.
Producer
Not that one.
Cora, with your nice shirt that nobody can see, unfortunately, because the camera's not working.
It's so cute.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Korodono, KORODONO. Post artwork and cosplay sometimes on there. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Hawks Perch, where I continuously scream into the void about Suikoden until more people join me and I have an army.
Yay.
And call out people on Twitter that they need to join her in Suikoden cosplay.
They do.
Thanks, dude.
I am 107 people away from having my own army. If you join me, I'll only be 106 away.
Yeah, that's not
It's a Suikoden joke.
Bring your friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that is our show. We'll be back next week. Make sure
Hopefully.
you join us then. Yeah, things will be working better. But, hey, there's new stuff. Anyway, as always, guys, you know what we say. Keep on nerding.
Keep on nerding.
I know you're here. I can smell your brains.